Hello everyone, welcome to the new video on debugging in C programming using code blocks. Okay, so in this video we are going to see how you can use code blocks editor to debug your C program codes. Okay, let us begin. So let us open the Codeblocks IDE, and now usually what we do is we simply create a empty file, and if I just write a simple program, let's say I just take this simple template file and save it with some name, and now if I run it, it will obviously execute. But if you look at it, there is a special section over here which is called the debug bar. Okay, so this bar is called the debug bar, and this is by default it is inactive. And if you do not see this debug bar, you can just go to view toolbars, and over here you can just check this out, check this particular element, and this bar will come. Okay, so now if you look at this, right now this is disabled. That is because debug option is not present when you open a file without when it is not inside a project. So whenever we want to debug any code, we should start by creating a project out of it. Okay, so let us begin. We will go to file, new, and click on project, and after project we have to select the type of the project as console application. Click go, click next, and here we can select the type of language. The language we are using is C. Then you can give a name to your project. I'm just giving it star. Okay, and you can select where it should be stored. So I have selected desktop. Okay, so click on next, and see to it that your compiler is already installed. So mine is installed, and here both the debug and the release feature is selected, and click finish. As soon as you do this, you will see you have this project window open, and where you will see a folder called sources, and inside the sources you will have a file called main.c. So this is the file which we are going to use to write our code. And if you look over here right now, the debug window is on. Okay, so debug bar is actually on. Okay, so now we can start debugging our code. So let me quickly write a simple code. I have already created a snippet for the code. This is actually a simple program to print a pattern. Okay, I will quickly run this and show it to you how it looks. You can see I have put the size, and you can see it prints the star. It prints the triangle using star pattern. Okay, so this is a simple program. Now let us see how to debug this. Okay, so basically to debug it, you first have to break the code somewhere. Okay, you have to stop the code from running ahead, right? So what we do is we come to this margin where the line numbers are there. We right click and simply add a breakpoint. So breakpoint is nothing but where the program is going to stop. Okay, so it will now once we have set the breakpoint, what is the next thing to do is we will not build and run. Instead of that, we will click on the debug and continue play button. Okay, so once we click on this, you can see what happens is you can always select this as no, you don't want to change the perspective. Click no, and you can see that there is now a yellow triangle that is showing that where your debug window is currently halting. Okay, so currently it is just after it, this particular statement is not yet executed. Now just to prove that, you can see your console window is open. As soon as you click the debug button, the console window gets opened, and you can see that nothing has been nothing is printed on the screen. That means this particular statement is not yet executed. Okay, and you can see the triangle is over here. So next what we are going to do is, now because now before going ahead, I would like to orient the screens in such a way that I can see both these windows side by side. Okay, to do that, you can just right click on the taskbar and click on show windows side. Okay, so now both the windows are adjusted. Now I will close these two windows so that it uses all the space. Okay, so now we are ready. So now let us see what happens when I click on the next instruction window. Okay, so you can see there are various options that we can select. So out of this, what we are going to do is we are going to select this particular button, that is the third button, that is the next line. So what it does is it completes the particular line and waits at the next line. Okay, so let us click that once. As soon as you click, you saw that it has executed the previous statement and it is now halting for scanf to run. So still I have the triangle over here. That means it is currently waiting for this command to be executed, right? So let us click it again. So as soon as this happens, now you see the triangle has gone, right? So the triangle is no longer there. That means some action needs to be done on the command window, right? So now actually it is waiting for the scanf input. So let us put the value of 6, enter, and you can see the triangle came back and now it is waiting for the for loop to execute, right? So it is just waiting before the for loop. Okay, now before we go ahead, I would like to show you one more thing. Okay, I will just stop this, stop the debugger. To stop, you just have to click on the cross sign over here and this will immediately close the debugger. Okay, so once that is done, we can what I want to show you is I will start the debugger again. Okay, and I will orient the window, close these panels. Okay, so now it is again waiting over here. Now before I start, I would like to show you one more thing. Okay, so now many a times it may happen that you want to see what all things are stored in the variables, what are the status of the different variables, what are the status of the registers of the CPU, what is happening in the memory. So all these things can be seen using these using these windows over here. Okay, so you can see, check the CPU registers, check the memory dump, etc, etc. But what is important for us is currently the watches. So what watches does, if I just click over here, you can see what watches is trying to do is, watches is simply giving you the status of all the variables currently that is there in your program. So basically, as you can see, I have three variables, I, j and n, and you can see I, j and n defined over here, and you can see there are some values over here. So these are nothing but garbage values because we have not declared, sorry, initialized any values to these variables. That's why these are the default values that are there. Okay, so now I will start by using the next line command and see what happens. Okay, so click next and you can see there is no change in the variables, and it has printed the size of enter size of pattern, like next line. As soon as I click on the next line, you can see it is executed the scanf statement, and here the triangle is gone. So that means it is waiting for some input. Now just look at it, whatever value I'm entering, let's suppose I'm entering a value of 6. So if before I press enter, you can see the value of n currently is 65. Okay, so after I press enter, okay, so as soon as I press enter, you can see the value is now changed to 6. Okay, so whenever there is a change in value, it will highlight in red and let you know that the value has been changed by the instruction. Okay, next let us try to run to the next line. Now it is waiting for the for loop initialization step. Now if as soon as I do the next line, you can see the value of I changing. You can see the value of I changed. In the next statement, the value of j will change, because the next is this particular statement, right? So if I click on next line, you can see the value of j changed. Okay, so now it is waiting for the star to be printed. Okay, so next, if I just press next line, you can see the star is printed, and the this particular cursor is now going back to the for loop over here. Okay, so now it is checking, it is actually going to increment. The next statement is to increment j, value of j to j plus plus. Let us see what happens. As soon as I do that, you can see the j value is incremented, and as soon as it incremented it, it checked for the condition, and it came out to be, sorry, this condition, and it came out to be false, because I was 0 and j became 1. So it has it is more. So this for loop breaks, and now it is, if you look at the triangle, it is coming at the new line. So now if you press on next line again, the cursor will go from the current line to the next line because of the /n. Okay, so I have executed it, and currently the cursor, you are not able to see it right now over here, but it you can see when it prints the next star that the cursor is actually moved to the next line. Okay, so let us go to the next line again. So again, now the next statement that is going to be executed is I plus plus. So as soon as I do this particular as soon as I click on next line, it will execute I plus plus, and the value of I should become 1. Okay, so it has become 1, and now it is checking the condition, and it satisfies the condition. So that's why it is inside this loop, and now inside this loop again, j should be equal to 1, j should change to 1. So right now it is sorry, j should change to 0. Right now it is 1. Let us see if it changes. So you can see j is now 0. So this I can keep on working on this. So now j will become, in the next line, j will become 1. It will print a star, then it will again increment j. Now j will become 2, and as soon as j becomes 2, it will come out of the for loop, the inner for loop, and it will press it will do a new line, and then it will go again to the original the outer for loop, and outer for loop it will go to this I plus plus. So now the value of I becomes 2. Okay, so these things keeps on going till all the stars are printed. You can see how the things are going. So this can be used to check your program, what is the status of your different variables in your programs. So this helps in a lot of way to debug basically logical errors in your program. Okay, so most of the errors that are syntactical errors are captured by the compiler itself, but logical errors can be captured using the debug feature of Codeblocks. I hope you liked the video. We will see you in the next video.